What I want to cover with you today is two specific things. One is that a move in a stock or any financial instrument can be a surge in the form of one bar, and say this move to the upside here in the form of one bar, or you can get just a steady, nearly uninterrupted move. Now, you can have a little interrupt there, but we're basically just talking about kind of steady, uninterrupted move versus the power surge. Now, in my drawings, this move is about the same in terms of price. It got there differently, but still, they're both still one move. So one move can be one surge, or it can be a series of bars that accomplish a decent price move without a great deal of hiccups or interruption. So when there's no interruption or very little interruption in the flow of a series of bars, I consider it one move. That's very important to understand. Another term that I've constantly used with this is leg. So you can have, as an example, a stock has this series of bars that accomplish one leg, and then you get the interrupt. That's the interrupt. And then you get, after the interrupt, the second leg. So that's leg one, and this is leg two, and the pullback is the interrupt. So my point here is that a single move can happen in the form of a one bar power surge, or it can happen in a series of bars that have little to no interruption. Where is this going? It leads us to what I really want to talk to you about today, which is the top, and of course on the downside, bottom, but let's assume the upside, the top 1/3 zone. I always want, whenever you identify something with a surge or something, whether it's a one bar surge or move or a multiple bar surge or move, I always want you to be conscious of that top third of the surge. The top third of a surge or of a move, say that's it, does include a little bit above it into the third. That's what I mean by the top. It's a little bit past it. This is the zone right there. If it's in the form of a multiple bar move, then that top third also applies like this. It's a little bit past it, but in the top portion of the move. That's the zone. Tell me you understand this so far. Grabbing that top third of a single bar surge or the top third of a multiple bar surge with little to no interruption, and the third zone does start a little bit beyond the move itself. Take a look at this move. This is that multiple bar surge, you see? And then you would consider this the interrupt. So see the multiple bar nature. Notice how there's little to no interrupt. The interrupt comes here, but there's little to no interrupt here. Yeah, there's a tiny red bar there, but that's not an interrupt. An interrupt is time-based. You know, it's multiple bars to create an interrupt, not one bar. One bar does not create an interrupt. It's multiple bars that create an interrupt. This is an interrupt in the flow of this multiple bar surge. Once we get that move, this is really the last bar of the surge. You start a little above it, and there's that top third. Now, what's the point of this? The odds of continued movement is very high if the pause stays in the top third. That pause can stay in the top third with a dip, or it can just rattle around, but you're typically going to go higher. We've talked about cutting every move in half. I'm focusing on the top third of surges now, multiple bar surges and single bar surges. See how this is just having trouble breaking the third, and we know it's a pause because it's taking multiple bars. Now, so we would assume here that this is going to break out to new highs because it can't get past the top third. Some traders might say, well, Oliver, wouldn't you do the top third here of this move? Yes. Wouldn't you do it here? Yes. You keep doing it. In no case was the top third ever broken. So you just keep doing it. Here, I didn't get a pause, so now I'm going to see if we get a pause there. Didn't get a pause there. Now I'm going to see if we get a pause there. And you see, we start getting a pause. Now you're saying, wow, this can't seem to break the third. We're going higher. So you might get this multiple bar surge and then start looking for the top third, but then you get another bar surge that extends the surge. You say, okay, I'm going to start from the top of this one. And then another bar surge. You say, oh, well, now I'm going to start from the top of this one until you get the stock starting to stall out on you. Now that top third analysis becomes very important. Let's do it here. Here you have a top third, but then you don't get a pause. It just rocks again. Well, okay, so now we're going to do top third analysis here. Now, remember, when you get a tail, remember what you can always do with tails for greater clarity. You can remove the tail. So there is your inability to break the third. We're going higher. There were so many people shorting here because of this former top and the drop before. So this is, they considered this resistance. I was buying here because I could see that it couldn't break the third. Also, the way it got there was so powerful, I assumed follow through. It didn't get there like this, so it didn't drop and get there like that, like it was struggling to get there. It got there like this cat fell off the building but is not dead, right? So anyway, let's take that tail off, and you can see that we never got past that third. What you can do whenever you get some type of pause and you go here, this is one leg, that becomes a separate leg. Now, the third is not incorporating all of it. The third is now on the second leg. What's the second leg third? Right there. You see? That's the second leg third. This one's over. So this one, leg one, is over. Now it's leg two. And you see here, this bar here? Now, what's top third? Remember, you start a little bit past it, right? So far, we're hanging in the top third zone. And remember, once again, let me draw this again. That top third zone is a little bit past it, right? Always want you to remember that. So this would suggest statistically what? You tell me. Top third concepts. Shorts are getting wrecked on this largely because they don't even know the top third concept. Now, if I were dumb enough to short it, it would have to do a lot of damage. So it would have to do a lot of damage this way. And then on that damage, I would have to see it bounce and fail to take out half of the damage and short it there. I would not be trying to grab the first one. I think that's the stupid mistake that the shorts make. They try to grab the first one like, okay, here's the first damaged move here. And then boom, they get wrecked. And so now they're shorting again here and boom, they get wrecked. The best way on something that's been strong is to really catch. You have to catch the bounce after damage. You understand? That's the best way. You don't try to catch these, the initial ones, because the initial ones after strength whip you back a lot of times. Should we hold for breakout in that case to get in? assuming that just generally talking about this concept, if you're not in it already, how do you get in it? Well, I would get in it on the break. Now, how do you know the break? Well, you want to find in the pause, what's the biggest red bar? So check this out. Remember, ignore the tails. So let's take the tails away. Let me show you. Take all the tails away. Whenever you see tails, if you're not playing the tail, take the tails away and give yourself this clear picture. So you got this red bar, this one, this one, this one. I would say the biggest one is this one. It's hard. It's between this one and that one. But basically, you can just do right there. Remember, the concept of clearing is to clear 5 bars. So you can use the clearing concept or the biggest red bar concept. They both work perfectly fine. So if we're rattling around, I try to look for the biggest, fattest red bar in that rattling around. And if the stock takes out the most troublesome bar, then that's all I need. Or if the stock gives me a clearing bar, that's all I need. I've already got the 1/3 concept telling me we're higher price. It's just a matter of when I strike. All right. And to gain clarity, remove the tails, and then it becomes clear for you. So don't forget that. Remove the tails, guys. And that's on both sides. Both sides. So let's do it. Let me show you. Let me show you how clean this gets when you remove tails. Tails are only important if you really are playing it as a tail bar play. Remove them on both sides. Watch how clean this gets. Do you see that? You see how clean that gets and clear that this is the buy point? You don't need them unless you're playing them. So in this case, it's the biggest red bar in the pause right there. There are so many people floating around in the markets that they don't know these things, but you do. Now, guys, nothing is 100%. These are all still guidelines, but they're very, very, very good guidelines. If we could find something that's 100%, we wouldn't need stops and we'd just save up for the 100% item and just put everything on the line when it happens. We don't have that. Nothing's 100%. So you always have to be able to protect yourself from that small percentage of them that don't work. But I'm telling you, this 1/3 concept will let you know a lot of things